Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality wherever you are in the world when you're watching. A huge shout out to you. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions in any way that you support my channel. I am very grateful for the support that I receive. Welcome also to those new subscribers. Thank you all for being here. All right, a lot to get through, as with every time I come on. There's been so much that has happened in the intervening period. I'm going to start with, will Trump declare martial law? Now, I know all of you are going, he has no right, he can't do that, he wouldn't dare do that. I agree with all of that. However, it worries me still with the constant protesting that's going on, and by the way, not receiving very much media coverage. People are getting out and protesting this government, this current US government. He's in contempt of the courts. He's ignoring certain court orders. There was a court order that said he couldn't use an 1800 year, like a law that went back to the 1800s to deport gang members to I think it was El Salvador, and those flights still took place after that court order. So that's called contempt. So what is he going to do? He's come out and said anyone who's attacking Tesla is going to be declared a domestic terrorist. It's just, he is not, what can I say? He has a narcissistic personality disorder. He's not a stable person. And that we have to realize that some Americans ignored the warnings and put a mentally unstable person in charge of the US. Now, we're all paying for that decision. So I'll ask, will he declare martial law? Many have asked me to read on Mahmoud Khalil. Will he be set free? He's the Palestinian activist that they have illegally detained. Again, this attack on free speech. So he is constantly breaking the law. So Khalil is a prominent Palestinian activist who recently completed, I'm reading from The Guardian, his graduate studies at Columbia University. He was one of the leaders of the Palestinian protests as Gaza was facing or experiencing genocide, as genocide was being committed in Gaza. He served as a negotiator between administration officials and protesters. He is a green card holder, which means he's a permanent US resident, is married to a US citizen and is expecting a baby next month. Yet he has been illegally detained. He's been transferred very quickly under stealth of cover to Louisiana from New York. His lawyers are fighting to set him free, but this is a real test case here for whether Trump and his government can actually illegally suppress free speech, because Mahmoud Khalil did nothing illegal except use his right to free speech. So we'll look at whether he will be set free. Trump came in temporarily from the golf course to watch the bombing of Yemen. Will this escalate the Middle Eastern war? There's a case in Canada where Elon Musk has been accused. One of the main TV channels there, media channels there, is investigating whether or not Musk has fudged the books on the sales of Tesla in order to get government subsidies. That really raises a lot of questions about whether this is actually true or not. What were the Democrats in the Senate thinking, those 10? Chuck Schumer, the leader of the opposition party in the Senate now, the Democratic Party, didn't even bother to negotiate. and caved and sided with the Republican government to avoid the government shutdown. Now, many would say, well, that is a responsible thing to do. However, there was no negotiation. Now, in my readings, I thought that there would not be a government shutdown. The first reading I did was very clear. The second reading, I thought, I thought there wouldn't be a shutdown. But I did actually think that Democrats would negotiate, and they didn't. What were they thinking? Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California, has brought Steve Bannon onto his podcast. And yes, great to keep the lines of communication going. Bannon's on the outer with Trump and Musk at the moment. This is what politics is all about, is exploiting divisions. But he didn't push back on twice when Bannon said the 2020 election was stolen. And to me, that's a cardinal sin, if you want to put it like that. He could have stopped Bannon and said, you may think that we disagree on this, but there was no evidence of fraud in the 2020 election. And then he could have moved on and kept the dialogue going, but he didn't. And so this tells me that Newsom and perhaps other politicians are going to appeal to Republicans to further their own careers. Anyway, I don't know why. We'll have a look at what they're thinking. What on earth are they thinking? I talked about a middle-aged businessman becoming the next president. I thought he might have been a fire sign. Many of you have said that they feel intuitively it could be Mark Cuban. He's a Leo. He's a businessman. And he's been an activist against Trump for a long time now. Let's see if it is Mark Cuban if we've got time. Here's my list of things I've got to get through. There are so many more. I did say that I thought Putin would agree to a ceasefire. On paper, he has. However, there's a list of conditions. Never trust Putin. Never trust Putin. It's interesting because in Europe at the moment, there's some phenomenon happening. There are massive Europeans coming in Italy, converging to march for Europe in support and solidarity for Europe. Putin and Trump didn't envisage that their actions would actually tighten the unity in Europe. In Hungary, our old friend Viktor Orban, the massive hundreds of thousands of protesters have turned out calling for Viktor Orban, the far-right Hungarian leader, to resign. And the opposition leader has said very clearly, resign, Orban, or we will come for you. So we might also look if Orban will fall. So there's been some real miscalculations. One of the biggest miscalculations, of course, that I've been saying for a while, is Elon Musk is over a cliff. And we are seeing more and more evidence that he too is unstable. He too is miscalculating. He too is overreaching. He too is dangerous because of his, his mental state. Perhaps there are other reasons why he's unstable that commentators have included his ketamine use, which of course he's admitted to. So there is dangerous leadership at this time in the US. However, people are rising. Now, that's a long introduction, but I want to be clear that we should not lose faith that the uprising that we're currently seeing, the events that are playing out now, we should not lose faith that our world will be more resilient in the long run for all of this. Okay, so let's have a look at Trump and martial law. Thank you all again for joining me. It's a simple question. I'm using the Tarot Art Nouveau for anyone who's wondering about my decks that I use. Let's see. Will Trump declare martial law? What can you tell me, please? Will Trump declare martial law? Will Trump declare martial law? What can you show me, please? Will Trump declare martial law? He's unfazed by any of this. He's just there, drinking his coffee or Coke or whatever it is he's drinking. He's not. Because he is a narcissist, he has narcissistic personality disorder. Of course, you've watched all the experts say that he doesn't care. He doesn't take any of this on board. All right. There's been so many warnings that have fallen on deaf ears. So, will Trump declare martial law in the US? Will Trump declare martial law in the US? Will Trump declare martial law in the US? It's almost like he's been talking about this in the Oval Office. There are people in dark suits. Is this the FBI? I don't know. There's been conversations about this. The first card out is the Knight of Wands, and then we get the Emperor. Meaning he thinks he has the power to do anything he wants to do. Let's see. Yeah, the Knight. It seems like the Knight of Swords is at the foundation of the reading. It seems like this could come eventually, even though it's unthinkable. However, it has been used 68 times by various presidents. We know that he's willing to break the law. We know that he's willing to do anything. We know that he thinks he's a king. We know that he thinks he can do it. So we get the Three of Cups in the background. That's unity, circles of support. There were two people sitting on that couch in the Oval Office in dark suits. We get the Death card, the end of something, because I think if he goes down this route, US Congress also has the power, as do governors of states, to declare martial law. I think it would be the end of his presidency, but we have the Death card here, which comes up so many times in the reading. Now we got the Knight of Pentacles, stability, monetary stability. So he's not going to, I don't see him doing this right now. If the economy, if things were to worsen, dramatically with the economy, if it was to become so unstable, there were mass protests in the street, fear would drive him to do that. So I think he's been told no for the moment. That's the Eight of Cups, and then something that comes to fruition in time. He's already had advice on when he can pull this lever, and he's been told not now. Okay, not prematurely, but he absolutely wants to do it. The Queen of Swords is in the hopes and fears. Now, it's interesting. I want to go back to my prediction on Amy Coney Barrett right at the beginning, and I got a lot of people offside when I said, please don't judge her too quickly. We have to watch her because she's going to be, I don't know what it is about her, but there's something different. And then as I kind of went along reading on SCOTUS, I said she would side with the other women on the court, and she did and does. We now know that she's very, very concerned about Donald Trump, extremely concerned, and she knows, she's in the know. She's in the hopes and fears. If he does, do something like this, he'd be looking for, it would immediately go to the High Court. He can't count on her vote. Anyway, logic is in the hope that logic will prevail. The Ten of Cups is the voter, it's families, and then we get this to and froing, juggling decisions. If we do it now, what happens? It would be a do or die type of initiative. We go back to past. He's looking for past precedents to do it, and then we get the Thief. Again, the country's under attack. So he's warming up to this. He hasn't decided yet to do it. He's been advised not to do it, but it remains a lever that he wants to pull. He absolutely wants to do it. I don't think. Now we have Russia, and it's the Empress card, and then we get the thief, the lying, and the thievery. It's very much something that he has even almost planned. So it is up to it is up to America to see if this can be averted, to see if saner heads will prevail. I'm going to say not at the moment. He's been advised not to do it, but we have a situation here where he's still contemplating doing it in time if the certain situations were right. Now we have backing off, and then we get the crossroads here. We get wisdom prevailing. So I am. This would throw America into financial turmoil, and this is what's stopping him. Things are trending downward economically, but if he were to declare martial law, it would throw the economy into a tail, just a complete and utter downward spiral. So I'm going to say it remains in his head, a lever he wants to pull, but he's being advised not to, thankfully, and he's not going to do it yet. But that doesn't rule out that he wouldn't do it if conditions were right. So I'm going to say it's not something that we need to worry about right now, because he's been advised not to do it. Because economically it would push the country into very dire straits. Okay. Let's look at other ways that he is attacking the Constitution, this time with free speech. Mahmoud Khalil, Palestinian activist, will he be set free? I'm pleased to see that that Trump is being advised against this. I'm pleased to see that there is some type of sanity. I think what would happen is if he did this, I'm pretty sure that is when Congress would act to impeach him. He doesn't have the right. He doesn't have the power, if I can say it like that, to just declare it. He's not a king. Okay. So I'm pleased to see that, yet it remains uppermost in his mind. All right. I don't think anyone is surprised by that reading or those cards. All right. Mahmoud Khalil, will you be set free? What can you show me about? Yeah, I'm getting... I think he'll be set free, but he'll be he'll be spied upon. There's a covert... God, would someone assassinate him? I hope not. It's like he's got guards. Is it home detention that he's set free into home detention? All right, let's all sort of such strong conditions that... All right, let's see. Mahmoud Khalil, will you be set free? Mahmoud Khalil, will you be set free? Mahmoud Khalil, will you be set free? I think he is returned home. Now, there's great anxiety for everyone. As I said, this is a litmus test for freedom of speech, and it's because we know we're all at the crossroads, all of us. We get wisdom. I think that eventually a judge sets him free. I think it does come up before the courts, and we have justice, but justice is in the past. But it's the energy of justice that is flowing through this reading. We get the Ten of Swords, an ending of something, an ending of potentially an ending. He could be deported. So potentially there's only two ways this is going to go. He's deported, or that's what this birthright citizenship stuff is all about, challenging the citizenship laws. It's being able to deport legal US citizens that are here legally. He could face deportation, but let's see. A Queen of Swords, logic. She's here again. The law is stable on this. Some of you have asked, will the Supreme Court change the 14th Amendment citizenship laws? No, they won't. They will hold firm on that. It's a partisan issue for this time. And when we get the sun, freedom, innocence, that's in the environment around. He's committed no crime. The Ace of Cups in the hopes and fears is generating a lot of emotion. We get the Hanged Man. It's possible they could take away his citizenship in some way. But he's committed no crime, so I'm not sure on what legal basis they would do that. The Page of Swords, a traitor. We get the legal processes playing out, and then we get retreat. I think they're going to try and deport him. There's the devil always coming up. The devil, very toxic situation. I've got a ringing in my ears. Successfully defending himself. We'll get news soon. I do believe this is a test case. I think they're going to try, pardon me, and deport him. But I think that the law comes down on his side, obviously. But I think they do retreat. We get a surprise here, an offer of some sort. We get the Emperor again. And families. Now, I think he's eventually reunited with his family, but there will be conditions on his release. So it's going to be not right now. This is going to play out, but I think eventually he is not sent home to overseas, but I think he is returned to his home in New York, because I do see the nest. He goes back to the nest. When I say nest, he was actually feeding birds. I'm pretty sure he doesn't feed birds, but that's what I saw. His baby is due. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the courts will eventually set him free, but it's not the end of trouble for him, because he's under surveillance. Whether that's legally or not, he's under surveillance. Okay. And he needs to be careful when he is set free that MAGA don't come for him in some way and he becomes a martyr. So somebody is going to be watching him when he does go home. And I do get that feeling of, anyway, I'm not going down that route. For the moment, the courts eventually will set him free. Okay, but Trump, there's a potential that Trump could deport him. I'm afraid to say that the potential was in the potential position, and I've got to say that too. Let's hope the man who's done no wrong but exercised his freedom of speech, let's hope he is set free and that he stays safe when he is set free. All right, will Trump's bombing of Yemen, the poorest Arab country, will his bombing of Yemen escalate the Middle East war? Will Trump's bombing of Yemen escalate? So Yemen is going to fight back by bombing even more ships. I see them in boats going towards ships, and I see the ships, there's explosions there. So in a way, he's provoked more violence in the Middle East, not less, through his actions. Will Trump escalate the war in the Middle East? Will Trump escalate the war in the Middle East? 13,000. I'm just getting numerals, 1300. Okay, so we get Russia, the Empress card, a season of time, and then we get sabotage. So, of course, if he does, he's got to contend with Putin, because Putin is allied to Iran. There he is, the King of Pentacles. Why would his finances, Rocky wants to go out. Let me just let Rocky out. There you go. There you go. Sorry. Okay. Why is this a business thing for him? Why is the Middle East a business thing for him? Who's paying him off? This is for entertainment purposes only. And here is his thinking is not clear. He can only see riches here. Every action is a transaction for him. Okay, so yeah, there's been some sort of deal for entertainment purposes only, some sort of deal, and that's a legal disclaimer. Just so you all know that this is a tarot card reading, it's not fact. There's been some conversation that's taken place before his presidency about a payoff if he does X, Y, Z. All right, so we get the Fool card. Literally can be a fool starting out on a new pathway. There is the devil again. Toxicity. And we get the atmosphere around is the Page of Wands. This is a new kind of way of dealing. I mean, it's different to what Biden was doing. There are secrets here that we cannot perceive in the hopes and fears. And yes, there is an escalation. There is a change here. But we get the Ten of Rods. It's whatever he's trying to do with his authority. It's very difficult for him. And we get betrayal, loss, heartbreak, and death and but also retreat, fighting. I think it's pretty clear as the cards go on. The major arcana is a yes. There's a change here. It's almost like a stalemate is being broken. He's using his presidential authority, but we get the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, and the Five of Rods, indicating battles and death. So he is going to escalate. He is going to escalate the Middle East now with this attack. The King of Swords and the Death card and the Justice card. This is not something the world wants to be drawn into. I just want to see what this High Priestess is. Is this about money? Is this about some kind of deal that he might have done beforehand? And we get the Ace of Wands. And then 3 cups remaining. Lost 1 remaining. And manipulation. Yeah. So he's done this deal at some point in the future, in the past. Obviously with Netanyahu. Obviously with... before he became president, he was always going to do this. This is going to lead to an escalation of war in the Middle East. And thank you again, and I'm being sarcastic, to all those that thought that he would bring peace to the world. Europe is on fire. People are building up their nuclear armaments. He's ignited and escalated things in the Middle East. What more do you need to know? Okay. What were Democrats? No. Let's go to Elon Musk here. In Canada, he sold 8,600 in one dealership, 8,600 Teslas in one weekend, and I think there's something like 43 million in Canadian government subsidies that went to him as a result of the high Tesla sales. And so there are questions. Has he been fudging the books to artificially escalate Tesla sales in return for the subsidies, the electric vehicle subsidies? So has Musk been cooking the books, in other words? Has he been? There's a lot of Teslas that just end up in stockyards, that never get sold, that get made but never get sold. What is going on here? Has Elon Musk cooked the books to artificially inflate Tesla sales in return for government subsidies? And has he, one question at a time, has he artificially escalated, artificially inflated Tesla sales to get EV government subsidies, no matter what country that's in. Oh, victory card. Yes card. And then we get the family, the taxpayer, the voter. We get the Five of Cups. If this emerges and there are widespread global government investigations beyond the US, he's finished. We get abundance in the past. This could be what Russia has on him, for example. Four of coins. That's his potentially financial. That's his financial downfall. We get the wish fulfillment in the immediate future. We get the Knight of Cups in the present. And then we get the crossroads. He's got heavy decisions to make about how visible he is now. Hopes and fears, wounded in battle, retreat. And then we get the authority, control. I have Trump in my corner, but we have trying to illusion and delusion, trying to smoke screens, and we get the Three of Wands. And finally, the Devil card, greed. We shouldn't be surprised. I think this is one reason why he bought the presidency, to try and shield himself. But there is this question around his, again, like Trump, the mental stability here. This is overseas, waiting for one's ship to come in, and we have the Devil card again coming up. So much of this is bent on greed, and then we get judgment and inevitability. So I'm going to say that there he has, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, there are huge questions around the accuracy of Tesla sales in return for government subsidies. Now we get suspension. We get the truth emerging. We get debt. And we get successfully defending himself. And here we have the Queen of Cups opening the lid of that cup to let information out. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised when this comes out. Because, again, holding fast with our faith, the truth always emerges. The Ace of Swords. I'm going to say this is huge. This is huge. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm pulling tarot cards. This is, in fact, the only factual part of this is that a TV station in Canada is investigating. And there have been allegations made. That's the only fact. The rest of this is simply conjecture. Make of it what you will. All right. The Democrats, what were you thinking in the face of all of this? History is judging you. Chuck Schumer, there are now calls for AOC in New York to primary, to go against Schumer when his term is up and become the future senator from New York. What were these Democrats thinking? Chuck Schumer, to be fair, says, well, if the government shut down, then Elon Musk and Trump could do what they wanted, except that they didn't even try and negotiate. He didn't have to shut the government down. He could have just negotiated for changes. House Democrats have completely distanced themselves from this. Were the Democratic senators right to take the action that they did? I'm open to that question. Were the Democratic senators right to vote to keep the government open? Okay, we get the fortune's wheel change. Were they right to keep the government open? Were they right to vote with Trump to keep the government open? The MAGA party, to vote with the MAGA party to keep the government open. I just have a feeling it was more for their own reasons. So we get the Ace, which is a yes card, but it's a plan, and then we get the Greed, covered by the Devil. It was, I think, victory. I think it was for their own political futures that they did so. They can see that it's hard going for anyone in America that, that there's so much political change there. But you decide were they right or were they wrong. The Queen of Wands here, they've certainly inflamed emotion. They've lost young voters, completely lost young voters. The Knight of Wands, they've inflamed and motivated people against them. They could have actually ended their own careers. Not all, some. The Ten of Cups, the voter. Fearing the voter, well, maybe they should have feared the retribution for this. The Moon card, something coming to the surface, volatility, restriction, and Nine of Pentacles, yeah. Again, I go back to their own careers, and we get the government, and we get the Spy and the Camp card. So they've let down, I'm just going to say they've let down a lot of people. They've let down a lot of people. Now, I just want to read on Mark Cuban, you all wanting me to look at that. So Mark Cuban, are you going to throw your hat in the ring? Well, let's just see. Mark Cuban, will you be the next president of the United States in 2028? Mark Cuban, will you... I don't even know if he is even running. Mark Cuban... I think it's too premature to ask if he's the next president. Let's see. Will you run for the presidency? Mark Cuban, will you run for the presidency? I see him as the Knight of Wands, or he's on a horse. Mark Cuban, will you run for the presidency of the United States? Mark Cuban, will you run for the presidency of the United States? Just a quick read. No. Well, and then we get Charity. Okay, let's not jump to too much to conclusion. So we get the it's not a good card to come out first, but we get Wounded, and then we get Helping Others, and as signifier cards, and then we get Guardrails. This is just the general state of American politics at the moment. Sorry. The Devil is in the past. By the time you get there to 2028, so much damage has been done. Looking at things in another way, suspension, pausing things, justice is in the immediate future. That's why I have faith that in the long run, that you can come through this. We get Trump in the present, and then we get the foreign ties, the payoffs that he might be getting from the presidency, the money that he might be making from the presidency, allegedly. The Fool card is in the hopes and fears, and the outcome is I think it's possible that he will reverse his no, and then we get Queen of Pentacles, bringing some stability back. Now we get the Ten of Swords. This is something that is these cards are for the here and now. I think these cards just reflect the need to bring some stability back to the US by 2028. The voters are feeling so, yeah. So look at the cards. And then we get it's economic downturn in the US, and then we get so much motivation here for change by 2028, and it's around the economy. It's around what has been taken away. It's loss of standard of living. It's all of those things that motivate in 2028 for a new approach. I think he could very well run for presidency, and I think that his main I guess argument would be that he would bring to the main point for debate that he would bring to the electorate is stabilising the US economy, because by then it's going to be in dire need of it. Okay, that's the reading for the moment. Understand the truth is working its way through in so many ways. Okay, bye for now.